Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, The Grim Reader. I'm Kathy Grimm. That's why it's called The Grim Reader. And we're back for the first update. I call them weekly etc. updates for 2024, where I give you, basically talk to you about what I've been reading. But then the etc. is if I want to talk about my cats or anything else, chronic stuff going on with me, my life. That's the etc. And so first, let's get the etc. out of the way. It's very cold here, very sunny, and I've transitioned back to after the travel. I had the cold, which kind of was a little bit rough in the beginning, and then just kind of I'm always watching stupid videos, well, not stupid, good videos about people who are neurodivergent, and one of the issues that we have, and I really do think I am one, whatever label you want to give it, is we have a hard time with transitions. So going on a trip and then coming back, the transition is always a little tricky, and in a way it's the same when the semester starts. Although I'm so prepared for that, and I kind of know what's coming. I'm used to that transition. Like the way I noticed it was the first time I went out to Kroger. I didn't go out for some days because I was ill, and just being in Kroger, which is probably my most familiar third space, other than my office, I guess, where I hang out more, was kind of overwhelming in a weird way that I can't describe. Like, you see people that that are familiar strangers, and I don't know, I don't know. It's just a typical oversensitive sensory overload of, it wasn't bad, but it was like a little bit borderline too much, even though nothing happened, and it was just a regular Kroger trip. Like, my husband's like, what is your problem? Like, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but I'm just thinking how this is just another example. And I think in a way the trip was like that too. I was constantly being confronted. Oh, yeah, it got reflected back to me, my own weirdnesses. And I don't want to make too much of them, but I do think they are there, and I think they're pretty prominent. And I think some of my reliance on structures and things, and being like becoming overly obsessed with minor details has become more pronounced than, well, I mean, it's probably always been there, but it's like I'm leaning into it more, and I'm okay with that. But to always be confronted with the fact that you feel different from people, basically, in your environment is in of itself a bit of a burden or exhausting, and I don't want to make it more of it than it is. It's fine, I'm coping, but it's always there a little bit, and it's like, you can't, it makes it harder to relax. Very vague, etc. stuff. But and my reading's been okay. It's been a little bit hard to settle into, to settle into a groove. Let me tell you what I'm up to here. So I just finished today listening mainly to the second to last volume in the Palliser series called The Prime Minister, which is all about Palliser Plantagenet, who I liked in all the other books, but in this book he kind of got on my nerves. I mean, he's fine, but in a way I identify with him because he's someone who hates insincerity. He hates actually being a prime minister. He did not like being prime minister. He hated all the hustle and bustle around him and the fact that he couldn't just get down to work. So I kind of identify with him, even though I didn't like him. And also in this one, some of the biases of Trollope just got a little jarring. His anti-Semitism and the fact that the big bad is ethnically marked in a sort of typical. And he also did this thing that I pointed out in one of my top 20 video, how he didn't show you the true nature of a person until you were lulled into thinking they might not be that, but then it turns out that they are. He kind of switched things up, and I mean, I guess what he's doing there is he portrays the person through the eyes of someone else. But the thing is, in Trollope, as you all know who read Trollope, he has a lot of authorial insertions. He's not invisible in his novels, and so you can't really pretend that we're just seeing it through the character, because he's always there, the author, this narrator, Trollope person, this in-between mediator person. So, it's a little manipulative. It's as if the manipulations, the machinations of how he does his stuff are still there. Nevertheless, it was still a good listen. I would say, some of the wonky political stuff gets a little dry. I mean, yeah, I took a star off. It's not a 5-star. It's like the first time I haven't given a Trollope a 5-star, just because maybe I'm Trolloped out, as I said in the interview. but it's still, you know, I'm still going to continue with the last one. I know that the last one's going to be tricky to listen to because recently they've kind of discovered a new manuscript, which means the Duke's children, which is the Prime Minister's kids, it's all about them, so it's later. But this is, it says here on the back, Trollope cut roughly 65,000 words at a vulnerable moment in his career to get the novel published, but concluded rapidly that he had made a grievous error. After a painstaking reconstruction by a team of researchers, The Duke's Children, the final Trollope book in Trollope's famed Palace series, can now be read the way he first intended, with the extra 65,000 words, which means it clocks in at a easy breezy 600 and something pages. And I do want to, actually, maybe I'll just commit to reading this one, read the last one, and maybe I'll like it better than just listening to it. I don't know, we'll see. Next up, I am really enjoying my Zola that I'm taking slowly and even making notes about in my book, my journal, because of all the characters, the cast of characters, and also to get a better sense. Basically, this is his hero, anti-hero, is this awful person, but also kind of interesting person, Sakar, who's one of these wily characters who's able to charm women and sort of almost like a magician is able to get people under his spell. But it starts out with him at the bottom after after his failed stuff from the previous novel, The Kill. And also, I just want to yet again point out, I'm reading them in the order suggested by this website. So I know that in the actual order of novels, this comes in at 18, and I'm reading it. This is my fourth of the series, I think. There's the introduction to the family, and then there's Rougon, the one about Rougon, his brother. And then there's the one about The Kill, which was him sort of coming to Paris and having his first success. And this is him getting another even more sort of dubious success after failing. And it's just this building up. It's not, and I've kind of done a little bit of research because I'm not very knowledgeable about, you know, what is speculation in terms of finance. And it's basically, from what I gather, a type of Ponzi scheme, what he's doing here. And he's, with the cahoots of some other characters, he's building up these grand ideas for which he gets people to invest. And then with what they've invested, and there's this technical terms of it not being backed up by money, like it's fake money, it's just promised money. But then on the promise of the stuff, he does all kinds of shenanigans. You know what, if you know about finance stuff, you know. But see, if it were just that sounds really boring. It's not just that. It's Zola's over-the-top depiction of these people and how he really goes crazy on how the emotions are involved. Like Sakar gets really sort of angry, or he gets really passionate regarding these schemes that he has. And I think that is kind of true of high finance stuff. It's very sort of the whims of people's imaginations. And it does remind me a little bit of the guy who just went down recently, Sam Bankman, and all his kind of, and he was connected to the altruistic people, efficient altruism and all that stuff. So they probably had these grand ideas of that all they were doing, bilking the one people to help the others. I don't even know, but it gets disconnected from reality or from people's lives. But see, with him, it's never really that disconnected because it's all connected to the shadowy stuff that's gone on. The fact that Sakar has this illegitimate child who's barely human. Well, he's human, but he's very, very comes from and he has this great description of where this child lived, and a lady friend goes and gets the child, and the descriptions of the mire and the deep darkest recesses of Parisian poverty and where they live. And he's just so good at describing the people, and he goes to town, but it's allowed, so you love it, and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm taking my time with it because if you read it quickly, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of plot, there's a lot of things that happen in one page. All kinds of, he'll tell the story of characters and all the sort of plot connected to those characters. And there's almost too much plot, but if you slow down and kind of are just invested in everyone's plot, it's interesting. You know, if you go for it, you get interested in it. And so that's going well. It'll still take me a while to finish this. I'm actually trying to read it, so we'll see. But I'm over halfway. And then I was sort of scrounging around, on my TBR for things to read next, but I think I'm going to hold off and tell you what I sort of fell into ahead of just looking at my bookshelves to see what I would do. Yet again, it's not TikTok this time. This time it's, I don't even know how I came across it precisely, but on Blue Sky. So one of the places that a lot of people who formerly were on Twitter have run away to, although there are a lot of people, including academics, still quite active on the Twitter. And so the thing about that kind of social media, especially Twitter, and I see all these academics on there, and I do the same thing. It's a little addictive because what happens is, and it's sort of like admitting procrastination stuff, but it's okay. When I'm working on syllabi or just looking up stuff to prepare for my classes, I'll have Twitter and now Blue Sky open. And you can sort of quickly shoot a few little tweets off or respond to tweets, and you're sort of it's as if you're having these little mini conversations while you're working. So it's almost like kind of like at the office type feel almost. And it's quite pleasant in a way, even though sometimes it sort of takes you out of your work, but it never really interferes that much. It probably makes some of the tasks that I'm doing take longer because I'm having this social aspect of it. So it's not good. I'm not saying it's good. And I think that's why a lot of people who just, don't care about so much about the fact that Twitter is owned by, especially academics. And I think I see other academics who are on there a lot, or there are some critics who are on there a lot. And I think they're doing the same thing. They're probably at their desk working anyway, sending emails, whatever. And so they have it open to sort of have a little kind of interaction while they're working. I could even have a list of the ones who are very active. And my issue with Twitter for me personally is that I still have, by far the most followers there, almost 4,000 on Twitter. A lot of them are fake, I know, whatever. That's in all of the social medias, like TikTok's full of fake followers. And so I found a group, 2 women specifically, who are doing almost for the whole year, group read. So you just use this hashtag of Kate Briggs's works. So the British writer who was featured on one of the Between the Podcasts shows recently by David Naimon, which I have to finish listening to. I almost finished listening to it, but I was taking notes. And she's amazing. She's a translator as well. And so it was about, on his show, it was about the long form, her novel. But the group read, which is what these 2 read, Kim and then Rebecca, and it's both on Twitter and Blue Sky, and also you can use the hashtag on Instagram. And it's going through very, very slowly, so incrementally, which is good for me. That'll be me now. I'll be able to participate in it. Her first work, which is about translation, This Little Art, and then also in conjunction with that, we're reading her translation of the last lectures of Roland Barthes, someone who I dabbled in but never read systematically back in grad school. And she's translated his lectures, which are called Preparations for a Novel, because apparently he was wanting to write a novel, and so he has all these lectures about novel writing. And so we're reading them together and then interacting on the Twitter or on the Blue Sky or on the Instagram with our hashtag KateBriggs24. So yeah, Kim did a great job. She has a nice website where she's established this whole really nice schedule for us, where it kind of goes through how much every day we're reading, and it's really very doable. Like for Kate's book, we're reading 4 or 3 pages a day, at the most 5, and then for the lecture for the Barthes, we're reading never more than 10. Actually, it's more like for every 3 days we have an assignment. She says it's fine to just read one or the other or whatever. Since it's all just on the internet, it's going to be up to us. I'm excited because I think I'm very interested in translation and also Kate Briggs's works and Barthes too. So I'm here for it. I did order both books. I had a sample of Little Art, but I did go ahead and just order both books. And she even has, if you want to, but I'm sure you don't have to, Zoom calls that you can participate in. So it's sort of like, and I think for both of them, it's a reread of the Kate Briggs, but they wanted to sort of expand it and make it a collaborative thing. And just the sort of the nitty gritty of fiction and writing and what it all means. I'm excited. So at least for the first part, this first one where we're reading Briggs and Barthes, the first book, goes to the beginning of May, which means it'll be nice for me to have this sort of like a mini class while I teach through the busy semester. And, you know, maybe there'll be times when this is all I do in terms of reading, we'll see. But I like it. I think it's going to be good. And it sort of has the low, you know, it's not Voxer, it's not an actual buddy read, it's more just us, a group of people coming together. And I can see the groups are kind of interesting. There's a lot of overlap. Well, not quite. There's some different people on the Blue Sky, but it's a smaller group, but it's, you know, some of them are academics, some of them are people interested in French literature, you can tell. And I think it's going to be nice. I think it'll be a nice thing for me to do, to participate in that. So that's my other new reading thing. I just start reading the sample of Little Life. It starts out, not Little Life, oh my gosh, no, so not the Little Life. This little art. And it starts out with her talking about Magic Mountain and the translation and the fact that at some point, Shosha, the lady, turns to Kastrup and says in French, please speak German. And then of course, in the English translation, it goes to English. And Kate's like, well, of course he's speaking German to her, but that's the conceit of translation, is that it has to be in the language you can understand. And I wanted to actually drag out my own copy of Zauberberg and see if he's translated the French, but probably not. And then the other two that I wanted to just kind of, that I felt were speaking to me now, maybe for other reasons, this one's, and it's also been on my shelf for a long time, this one's speaking to me. And it was someone's, I think it was a Rambling Raconteur like this one, right? I don't know if it was recently, but I saw a video of him talking about it, so I'll have to check that out. Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata, so Snow Country. And then because I can't bring myself to read the Cockroach Story, The Passion of G.H. I thought, well, why not this one that I picked up at the Great Bookstore in England, this very thin Clarice Lispector to get me started, called Hours of the Star. I kind of want to get started with my Lispector sort of journey, and don't really have for some reason it's not speaking to me to start I did start the Cockroach Story a while ago, but I need to be in a different space to be able to sink into it the way I need to think it needs to be done. So I thought maybe I would start this short one, but I haven't started either of them. I'm still sort of, well, I'm trying to read the Briggs, even though it's just on the Kindle and I don't really like that. Both of my books for the group reader should be here tomorrow, I think. And so that's where we're at. And thank you all. Hope you're all reading great things. Tell me what you're reading, if you've read any of this stuff, if you're interested in reading any of this stuff. And I will try and be here every week. I think I'm going to try Sundays, or if Sundays I get too stressed and I might be too busy, Tuesdays. So it'll be either a Tuesday update for the previous week or a Sunday update for the previous week. And that's how we'll do things. Thanks all for watching. See you later. Bye.